There we go.
Cool, cool. All right, thank you. So yeah, I'll go through 13.1 real quick, see if we're in agreement on that, and then do a quick status update on 13.0 because I just want to make sure that all my feature blocks are in order. So for 13.1, this is the third or like final piece to the merge request approval settings that we're delivering as a holistic solution. Today, Tan raised a concern that the second of the three issues might or became more complex than he originally thought. And so let me actually pull that one up, because I don't know if there's a special consideration or process around this, but he basically said that we can put everything as it stands today behind a feature flag so that it's as if the feature was never released, because this particular change will essentially break it. And so then why have it in production? I'm okay with that. I just don't know if there's anything I'm supposed to do to inform users about that.
So for 13.0, because it's a major upgrade, we do have a list of breaking changes. This one's so minor and it's been out for such a short period of time. I don't know that we need to try to go sneak that in there, because I think they may have already released it. I think we could add it in after the fact.
Well, and I'm not sure anyone's actually using it because it was too broad in its implementation.
So I'm not too concerned about it being a breaking change. I actually talked to Tan about this yesterday afternoon. I'm not too concerned about this. I really like the idea of just putting the whole package behind a feature flag. This was Tan's idea, and putting the whole thing behind a feature flag and just kind of iterating behind the feature flag for now.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. So I'll maybe double check with Jeremy if there's anything I need to do, but I'm fine with this approach. My one question to him on this feature here or issue here was whether or not this would impact the 13.1 deliverable for this. If it does, that's probably okay, but I do need to set expectation with the customers who are expecting it in 13.1 to ship as the holistic solution.
So we have officially bumped it from 13.0 to 13.1, yeah?
He didn't say this would bump to 13.1 unless, let's see, schedule this to be rolled out as a complete solution in 13. So, okay, so I think maybe that's what he's referring to is we'll have the whole solution in 13.1, and maybe I just misunderstood. So I'll wait for his async feedback, but if that's the case, that sounds good to me.
Okay, good. I think, I think he's hopeful he can move quickly here, but at this point we have a series of MRs that need to be executed in the next week and a half before the end of the milestone. And we're at real serious risk of slippage here. It's not a guarantee, but it's 50-50 at best, I would say.
Yeah, okay. But if he finishes working on this one, let's say it slips to 13.1, he finishes working on this, do those MRs get merged such that he can work on the next issue? And that it all releases in 13.1?
Yeah. So he'll be able to continue work. He doesn't have to wait for the MR to be merged to continue work. So he can kind of get ahead of the game. So as soon as something's merged, he can get review going on the next one. Or actually even get review going before that, for that matter. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll see what he says as far as confidence, and then maybe update the customers depending on that. So cool. So that's the one. I'm also trying this new thing just for my own sanity of adding the weights and assignees here. So I'll update this after this call. Even though it's a little bit of administrative overhead, I find it helpful so I can see everything in aggregate. But open to feedback if y'all have suggestions there. So
just a quick suggestion is the board. The board shows weight and the board shows assignee. So because that is a lot of administrative overhead. I actually like seeing it all here in one place too. But maybe this is just a sign we should be using the board.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I think the board for me just visually is just too much. But I'll give it a good old college try over this milestone.
So there's no harm in just creating a new board, like a planning board, that's a little bit less, busy.
Can you, because you can disable the labels or no?
Yeah, you can toggle at the top to remove the labels, so it's definitely visually cleaner.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to experiment with that then.
I was going to make the same comments as well, so it's just if you want to create a planning board that sorts it by category and throughput type or something. just to save you
Okay,
time.
yeah, I'll experiment with that today because that sounds like a good idea. Let's see. So this one was adding. So this was a follow-on to a previous feature or update to audit events, which was adding changes to merge request approval rules. So in the previous one, we added audit events for if authors or committers were allowed or denied from approving MRs, and we also captured the number of required approvers. So if it changed numerical value. The missing piece was audit entries for the approval groups themselves when they're added or removed. And that was a specific ask from one customer in particular, but kind of closes the loop on that audit event. And I think this was probably the last one we were doing so as not to continue to compound the audit events refactor work.
Yep. I was just going to mention that. Yeah.
So please remind me, like, please stop me if you see me scheduling audit events work, but I'm not doing it deliberately after this point.
Gotcha. I think hopefully soon we will have so much refactoring work that you won't even remember those new audit event issues.
What a time to be alive. Let's see. So this is the MVC for the user access report. So I actually need to update the direction page for audit reports. Oh, wonderful. Because the audit reports category moves to viable right now by doing the export audit events as CSV. Like that's the message or the copy, but really it should be this, because I think this makes audit reports viable in that you can generate this report using this custom API endpoint that we're going to build, and then we'll iterate to make it more minimal, it'll be minimal with this, and then we'll iterate towards viable by adding in like the in-app download for audit events export, user report, or user access export, etc. Does that make sense?
I thought we had landed on doing the CSV download first. That streaming download?
I understood that to still be in design because we hadn't committed to a specific solution on it.
Okay.
Which is why I slotted this one in, because the expectation from leadership is that in Q2 we get audit reports to minimal. And this felt like it was the lowest hanging fruit. I'm okay to change that if you feel that export audit events as CSV is in a good place, because that's less supplemental work I need to do to synchronize with the direction page.
Right, and maybe I'm just misremembering the conversation, but I thought we had landed, which is why Tan was working on that proof of concept, which he published an MR for that. So
let me see.
We had been making progress on that, I guess.
Yeah,
is just all I'm thinking.
We were, I agree, and that's the same memory I have. I just don't recall us. Like I saw him post the proof of concept, but I don't remember there being a decisive, like, this is what we're doing. I understood the proof of concept to be like, well, here's the proof of concept. Do we agree on this? And to me, that left it ambiguous.
Gotcha. And yeah, that is where we landed on it. Was he created this proof of concept. He said it looks, pretty good.
Yeah.
My impression is that we can move forward on that.
Okay. Do we feel that would replace something like this, or do we have the capacity to add it in?
I think it's one or the other.
Okay.
Which is why I was thinking, if the streaming CSV download is viable, we should go with that, just because it's easier than an API endpoint. You don't have to have a developer write a script to pull the data.
So what if I make the MVC API endpoint a stretch goal then, and then I'll move export audit events up into the priority slot?
And I'm cool with that. I would honestly, I would be in favor of just deprioritizing it. If we have the CSV download, like, this is a question for you. If we have the CSV download, do we need the API endpoint, at least in the near term?
Yeah, sorry, say that again.
If in the near term, like, do we need this API endpoint if we have the CSV download, or can we just say, listen, the CSV download covers us for a good long while here?
I see. Okay, so they're two separate reports. So the export audit events as CSV is for the audit events at the instance level to export that as a CSV. And then this custom API endpoint is for a user access report, which we created the epic for ultimately getting to a point where a customer could click on an export to download all users and their group and project memberships.
Got it. I thought they were both the user access reports. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. No, that's fine. But we still agree that this one moves to stretch goal, and then audit events export moves into the priority slot. Is that right? Or do you still prefer to deprioritize the MVC one?
The instance audit event export, sure.
Okay. You look like you're still thinking.
Well, I'm still thinking about how the refactoring fits into this, because like, how do we want to display this stuff, and maybe it'll kind of help inform how we want to go about the refactoring. But what do we want to present to users? Because we certainly don't want to present what's in the details column in the database, because that's it's a little wacky.
So should we postpone that so we can?
So just because this refactoring is kind of an emerging thing, a developing conversation, I'm not exactly sure. So let me get a little further with that. I mean, so all right, let's go ahead and leave this as a stretch goal like you're talking about, and let me try to get a little bit farther with the backend team in terms of that refactoring.
Yeah, I think so. In light of that, what I'll do is I'll make export audit events as CSV, the instance level export. I'll make that the stretch goal. And then as we clarify whether or not that needs to be postponed, we can then maybe make an adjustment. But I'm comfortable shipping the custom API endpoint for the user access report, and then just updating the direction page to reflect like that's what's going to get us to minimal, and then we'll follow on with the other one. But it sounds like there's still some ambiguity, understandably, that might cause some confusion mid-milestone if we do decide to reverse it again or something.
Right. Which I'll try to get as far ahead of as possible. But I think it's a good sort of like initial plan here.
Okay. Cool. Thanks for hashing that out with me. So that's that. These are the two issues that are tied into the filtering audit events. These are the two, I think, front-end ones that don't have any back-end work involved. And then the two with back-end work, I think I just, I don't know what I did with those. I think they're down here. Yeah, these two. So I'll incorporate those into 13.2 or whatever milestone whenever they're no longer blocked. But yeah, these two are already being tackled by Rob and Jan, I think, respectively.
Yeah, and I guess in terms of just discussing what front end can do, I mean, I guess we have to figure out with capacity planning how much work backend teams we're going to be working on. But Rob and Jan have both expressed interest in helping out with some of the backend stuff as well. So we're happy to help if we can.
Cool, I appreciate that. And then we have these two bugs, which I think I saw something on this one about relation to another issue or set of issues, Dan, for the, what is it, target ID type?
Right. Yeah, so this is going to be part of that broad refactoring effort. And, Dennis, for you, and I guess for anyone listening to this call later, the recording, my hope is to have a roadmap, a very clear roadmap for what we want to do in terms of refactoring on the back end by next week.
Cool. That'd be good to see.
Yeah, and then this last one. So let's see. Yeah, I think this is just another bug fix, but tied into the notifications about expiring tokens because it included impersonation tokens. But sounds like that'll just be picked up whenever engineer has time for it. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So I think we're at a total of 18. 3, 6, 9, 12. Yeah. So I think we're at a total of 18, which I think I understood that to be within the range of what we expect capacity to be. Is that right? I think it was like 18 to 22 or something.
Yeah, we're a little light, I think, on the front end side. We could probably squeeze another 2 to 5, but there's plenty of work to be found. So
well,
I'm not worried about it.
Well, I think it was actually this particular issue, the MVC, that Jan talked about being interested in it. Like I imagine they meant on the front end, but if there was interest in supporting back end, maybe that's the balance so that we can still explore the instance level audit event export as CSV in addition to this one. But what do you think?
I have reservations about us tackling a GraphQL endpoint creation issue.
Sure.
I think
Okay.
they're big green to the database implementation in general. So
Okay.
I think this is purely from a consuming standpoint. So if there's anything we
Gotcha.
can do to create an MVC listing of this to consume from the API, then they're happy to do that.
Okay. No, cool. I appreciate that clarification. Yeah, other than that, I'm okay being a little bit light unless there's any proposals for something to fill that void. But it sounds like my takeaway is to add that instance level audit event export to the stretch goal for now. And then Dan, you and I async can figure out if we should swap that around in the next couple of days or so.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Cool. Well, I think that's it.
Yeah, just on the front end side, let's keep it light for now. See how things progress. Obviously, it's been on our focus to try to see how we can iterate better, especially with the filtering audit events issue. So let's just see how we go for now, and then we can slot more stuff in later
on. Okay. And then I guess in the last few minutes, do y'all have anything you want to talk about? Otherwise, I can just quickly do a status update on 13.0.
Real quickly, I know we had discussed the backend and front end labels, so it seems like generally we just use it for whoever's involved, not so much with what the scope of work entails. So I think there's no change needed on our end as far as how our issues are currently being labeled.
Okay.
That's it.
Cool. So let me reshare real quick. So this is what I'm aware is still outstanding, the impersonation events, which I think TAN already has an open MR for it. And we had confirmation from customers on the last remaining implementation detail, which is basically, do we want maintainers and group owners to see the impersonation events in their respective audit logs? And the answer was yes, that's fine. So I think that's on track. But I don't know, Dan, if you have any other insight.
Yeah, I think that is on track. I'm trying to refresh my memory on that particular one. Can you open up that issue?
Yeah.
So I know TAN has been working on it. Could you just scroll all the way down to the bottom? Yeah, this should hit 13.
Okay, cool. Then I'll make sure that the feature block is ready to go.
Cool.
Let's see. I think this was the only one I wasn't aware if it was going to make 13, but I think it is. I think, let's see, what was the last conversation?
This is just, I believe this is for the next, actually, hold on. I'm getting my wires crossed with an issue that was closed. This one's still open. One sec. I need to follow up on this one. I thought this was done, but now it sounds like this is an issue that's being re-estimated to 5. They asked me how I felt about it. And if we're re-estimating it while it's in review, that's kind of conflicting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll ping in the channel just to get some eyes on it.
Sounds good. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do the feature block for the filtering audit events until we've like finished the whole epic. Just more curious to make sure that we're on track with our original timeline. But if we need to bump it, that's fine. Let's see, we talked about that one. Gosha said this one was in review, so fingers crossed it'll make 13.0. I don't know, I guess that's probably the update, unless you have anything different, Dan. Yeah, okay. Okay, and then the on deck, it seems like we got 2 that I believe were taken to a point where they were sufficiently broken down, or we had like an MVC outcome. So I'm happy with that. I feel like 2 is a reasonable expectation each milestone, given how busy everyone is. So if maybe we can use that as a benchmark for 13.1 and strive to get 2 more broken down in some way, which I think we're already on track to have one of them broken down thanks to Rob, at least for the front end. So just, yeah, keep doing what y'all do and having your teams participate, because I'm really happy with that outcome.
At the same time, let's see if we could maybe push for more. I mean, part of it is also understanding how much time we're able to have individual contributors to actually refine these issues. So if we can push for maybe 3 and then see if, and then measure how much time we're spending, maybe we have a better idea of like, okay, maybe we should start formally appropriating some time for issue refinement, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally agree. Did you have something, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, one of my concerns there is context switching. You know, like these are very technically complex kind of feature proposals, and they take a lot of mulling over, like these bigger ones. So yeah, to Dennis's point, I'm kind of thinking about like maybe we should be setting aside dedicated time for that. You know, just so there's not so much like, you know, in the middle of your day, completely switch your context to something else.
Yeah, I'd be interested in feedback from the engineers as well, because I totally understand that, and I want to support whatever workflow works for the both of you and them. If it were me, I would probably welcome the context switch as a break from what I'm currently working on, but that's just me, and that's probably not everyone. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you and they think and figure out what process y'all prefer, whether it's like that dedicated time or like whatever that looks like. Please let me know.
Cool. That sounds good.
Other than that, I think that's it, and we're at time. So if y'all want some 5 minutes back.
Sure, I can
Cool.
eat breakfast.
All right, we'll go cram something in, but good to see y'all. We'll talk to y'all later.
Likewise. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.